So how's everything going with that screening committee?
Things are going pretty well. As you're aware, the screening committee process it's a serious one, and I'm very honored to be a part of it.
Yeah.
But before I go, Greg, I wanted to pick your brain on something. Being new here at Miami-Dade College, I understand that there's a very unique performance review process. Could you talk to me a little bit about that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. I've had a few years' experience doing this.
Okay.
I've attended all the workshops on it, so yeah, I think I could give you a pretty good insight. First of all, it's unique and it's not unique.
Okay.
I'm sure there are elements of our performance review process that are very similar to your experience at Middlesex College. Yeah. For example, the common things would be preparation. Preparation. You know, this is something we don't blow off. It's a serious endeavor. Allowing ample time for the review. Scheduling it well in advance so the employee is prepared. Having employees fill out self-assessments and providing you with that information. The ongoing coaching and counseling needs to be documented during the course of the year. For example, this is something, it's not exactly an Outlook document, but I keep an incident file.
Okay.
And I buy 2 of these academic calendars every year. And whenever I have a situation that I need to document, I enter it into the calendar. Because as Sergeant Willie N. Gwynn taught me when I was in the service,
Yeah.
a long pencil is better than a short memory. Jot it down. Okay? So something that happens in September that you forget about in April or January or whenever, you can refer to it there. And it comes in handy. And I document things that go well as things that are not going well. Coaching, counseling sessions, I put it all in that file. And it comes in handy in the preparation.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. And the unique thing here is the cycle of performance review at Miami-Dade. The timelines involved and how we go about setting up the meetings, conducting the meetings, and then the follow-up afterwards.
So what are some of the key elements of the cycle?
Well, you can see from the chart there's a continuing process involved in this performance review at Miami-Dade. First, the supervisors are going to complete a memo notifying the employee of the upcoming performance review meeting and ask the employee to fill out a self-assessment. That's required for all professionals, and it's recommended, highly recommended, for our staff. Then prior to the initial meeting, the employee is going to complete the self-assessment within some time frame that you set up and submit it to you. Okay? You're going to review the employee's self-assessment, and you're going to take information from that and include it in your draft of the employee's performance review. And I'm going to stress draft. Okay? Then you're going to meet with your manager to review your draft because you've incorporated the employee's self-assessment, the information you have, and share with your manager. This is unique here at Miami-Dade. It keeps everyone in the loop and there are no surprises. In the 5th step, you're going to meet with the employee to discuss the review and set goals for the upcoming year. Next, you're going to take the input from your manager, from the meeting, and develop the final performance review document. And then in step 7, you're going to meet with the employee to review the final performance review document and have them sign that document. And that is also their opportunity to include any written responses to the performance review. The final step is you'll be forwarding the performance review document through the appropriate channels on our campus, and it differs campus to campus.
Well, Greg, this seems pretty straightforward. Can you tell me more about the actual meeting with the employee? I have a few concerns about that.
Sure, and a lot of people do. The preparation and the documentation and filling out forms is kind of mechanical and easy to do. It's that the dynamics that occur during the face-to-face meeting that some people feel a little uncomfortable with at times.
Yes.
And they shouldn't, because if you've been communicating with your staff, if you've been giving them feedback on an ongoing basis about things that are going well, things that aren't going well, if you have the mid-year mini review meeting or updating meeting with people, there are no surprises. And that way, that conversation that you have with them, which should be a two-way conversation, it goes a lot easier.
Can you walk me through one of your own experiences, perhaps, and how you would handle a typical conversation with your staff member and the performance review?
Sure, and since you're going to be supervising staff and professionals, let's focus on that. A few other things that we need to discuss. One is scheduling your performance review for this past year. We have to set aside some time for that, and I was thinking maybe next Thursday would be good. How is that for you?
That sounds good. How long is it going to take? Because I have a class I need to go to. I should leave by 4:30.
That's right. I forgot about your graduate class. Typically, performance reviews run about a half hour, but I want to schedule an hour so that we don't cut it short. We have enough time to review everything.
That's fine.
So let's meet, say, 3 o'clock on Thursday.
Not a problem.
The other thing is I'd like you to fill out a draft of a self-assessment, and that's the performance review form that we reviewed when you started during orientation. Look familiar?
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember this.
Okay. So kind of rate yourself on the scales and identify a couple goals for the upcoming year, okay?
That's fine.
All right.
I'll could have this back to you by next Tuesday.
That'd be good, because then I'll have time to review it, incorporate some of your comments into the draft I'm going to do, and review it with my manager also. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right, I'll send you an Outlook meeting confirmation invitation, and we're set to go with it then. There are several key areas when it comes to staff ratings. First is quality of work. The second one is quantity of work. The third one is job knowledge. And 4 is supervision, and there are 2 subcategories in supervision: the degree of supervision required and the supervisory responsibility of others, if they have work studies perhaps or part-time people that they supervise the work of. The 5th is attitude, and 6th is attendance and punctuality.
Sounds good. But what happens when you both don't agree on the rating?
And that does happen. It does happen. I'm sure you had that experience
Surely.
at Middlesex. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I found that it works both ways. Sometimes they overrate themselves on an item, or they underrate. And you're in a really unique situation there. Okay, let's take a look at the first category, quality of work. I've noticed that you've rated yourself as almost always accurate. But if you recall, back in December we met to review some proofreading issues. There were some typos on documents that went out.
Well, but I felt that I did improve in that area. I do remember that the latest documents I turned into you had very few typos or errors.
Well, that's true. There has been considerable improvement, but we sent out 3 important documents within the last couple months, and one of them actually had some mistakes with dates and timelines, and it created a lot of confusion with other departments and some extra work that other people had to do.
Yeah, I remember. I know we discussed that.
So based upon that, it's my opinion that you have made progress, and your work is usually accurate, but not always accurate.
Well, yeah, now that I think about it, I do see your point.
Okay. And sometimes the difference of opinion is based upon the employee underrating their performance. Let me share an experience I had with a professional staff member, and their categories are a little bit different. If you look at this form, you'll see we have leadership, supervision, professional performance, interpersonal skills, motivation, and knowledge base. Okay, so let's move on to the third category, which is interpersonal skills. I noticed that you, in the self-assessment, you rated yourself as satisfactory, which means you meet expectations. Tell me more about how you arrived at that rating.
Well, I think that my dealings with and interactions with other staff and departments has been very positive. Most respect the work that I do and the service I provide them. At our last meeting back in December, you indicated that you had received a few compliments, some emails from other departments with my customer service.
Yeah, a
skills.
number of them.
Right. Now, is there a problem?
No, quite the contrary. You know, I had a chance to review your self-assessment and the draft that I was working on with my manager, and we both discussed the fact that we've received even more compliments and emails within the last 3 months since December. So, you know, people were very happy with your efficiency and effectiveness in helping them overcome some problems, and we think that's great.
Well, that's why I rated myself satisfactory.
Well, I can understand. I think you maybe underestimated your rating, and we both agree that based upon our observations, the feedback we're getting from the other departments that you work with, that you're really satisfactory with commendation, and we're very pleased to recommend that.
Great, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Good, good.
Very interesting. I can see how it benefits from both groups reviewing the actual drafts of the process and contributing in all regards.
Yeah, it's very helpful.
But regarding the goals, do you mutually agree upon them, or are they set exclusively by me as a supervisor?
In the ideal world, it's great to mutually agree upon goals. That way, two things are accomplished. You get commitment and buy-in from the employee, and you're both on the same page.
Okay.
And the issue of mutually agreeing on all goals sometimes is a little tricky because there are times when you can't negotiate a goal.
Okay.
It has to be set for them. Maybe there's a system change, a new software, and people need to be trained or assigned other duties, cross-training, whatever. And there's no negotiation. You know, we have to get the work done.
And as I understand it, there is an acronym that is used around the college called SMART.
SMART, S-M-A-R-T, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we use SMART goals here, and let me explain what that means. First element of the SMART goal is specific. We don't want to have vague or ambiguous goals, tasks for people to accomplish. The second one is measurable. How do we measure, determine if persons achieve what they're supposed to do? The third is action-oriented. What exactly is it that they're going to be doing? Is it an activity? Is it a product? For example, in my case, I needed to, this year, facilitate 4 workshops on performance review. That was the action involved. Yeah, fourth, the goal should be realistic. Is there a balance between level of difficulty and what is achievable? And the last is really important. Is it time-bound? Have we set the appropriate time frame or time parameters for that goal? And I think that's important because human nature, we tend to procrastinate. If we say we're going to develop a new training program during the year, well, when in the year? Are we going to do it in the fall semester? Are we going to do it in the spring semester? And that helps people accomplish the task at hand. Let me tell you another situation with that employee regarding goals. They had difficulty managing their time, you know, and setting priorities. The typical problem a lot of us get into. Yes. And this person came up with the idea that they would set a goal to attend some college training and development workshops on time management and setting priorities. In our discussion, I also encouraged him to perhaps take a look at his delegation skills. And I know CTD has a workshop on delegating, so he agreed to do that. But we still needed to refine the goals a little bit more because we didn't have a time component in the SMART goal. Okay. We need to do this so that it was measurable. We even negotiated. I would sit down with them and with him, and he would explain to me how he was incorporating the tips from the workshop into his daily work, and it seemed to work pretty well that way. Okay, Rolando, let's move to category 2, professional performance.
You know, Greg, this is the one I struggled with. I think that I'm a real good problem solver. I hate how the work piles up, and I'm always rushing to meet deadlines. You know, I really need to prioritize the work, the way things need to get done, and it just seems like everything is equally important and everyone wants an answer like yesterday. For example, I spent the better part of the day, you know, trying to find room at the college for the student services retreat. with everything that's going on, it's impossible to find a room for that size of a group.
Yeah.
The time I lost doing that put me behind on the area effectiveness report.
Yeah, I know what you mean about room availability. It drives me crazy trying to schedule meetings, and it seems that rooms we used to have for meetings are now being used as classrooms, so that's tough. But you know, I was wondering, couldn't you have handed that task off to somebody else on the committee, or to Tina or Phil or someone like that?
You know, I thought about that, but I figured that I knew best what the needs of the group was, and you know, what furniture arrangements, things like that they needed. So I stuck with it.
Yeah. It just seems logical to me to explain what the requirements are and to delegate it to someone else and let them pick up on some of these things that you're overwhelmed with.
I mean, I suppose not, but if we didn't nail down a room soon, we might not have been able to get one.
Yeah, I know it's tough to let go sometimes, but you have to if we need to get everything done. You know, I also noticed in your draft that you wanted to attend 2 of the college training and development workshops. I believe one was on time management, and the other one was prioritizing work.
Yeah, I think I might need to pick up a few tips from the workshops.
Mm-hmm.
It might make things a little bit easier.
Yeah, with the amount of work you have to do. You know, I'd also suggest, and I'd like you to attend, they have a new workshop on delegating work to others. And, you know, that's not an easy thing to do sometimes. As you admitted, it's hard to let go. So I'd like to add that to your goals also.
All right, that sounds good. I think I'll do that.
Well, let's think in terms of timelines now, because, you know, goals need to have some type of structure. And when do you think is a reasonable amount of time to take these workshops?
Well, let's say I go ahead and I register for the first available workshops in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
I can then give you an outline of how I'm going to use the information and how efficient it's being for me.
Well, that'd be good. And then why don't we set aside some time, maybe once every 2 weeks. We'll sit down, look at your outline, look at the progress you're making towards those goals.
You know, like I said before, that sounds good. It's just that I struggled between satisfactory and satisfactory with commendation.
Okay.
But now I definitely do think it's satisfactory.
So we're in agreement then, it's a satisfactory
Yeah,
rating.
I think we're definitely in agreement.
Good.
It's obvious that the performance review process is a very integral part of all of our roles here at the college. It is a performance tool that helps employees reach their goals and potentials. And it reflects not only negative, but positive, above all positive reflections of the employee, and helps them reach their fullest potential.
Yeah, and I think you're going to find as you get into this process and follow the recommendations from the training or the HR webpage, that since it's an ongoing process, it's not something to avoid or be worried about being involved in. The ongoing communication is important. I suggest that you take advantage of there's a new workshop. It's a blended format. Some of it's online, some of it's face-to-face. The Policies and Procedures workshop that CTD and HR have put together. And also, HR has a wealth of information on their webpage. I believe it's tips for managers.
Yes.
You may want to take a look at that, too.
I will definitely take a look at that. I appreciate your time, and thank you so much for your advice.
Any other help I could give you, I'd be glad to help out.
I appreciate that.
All right, Billy, good luck.
Thanks.